guess this morning though I have noted one other outlet, Kiwi Blog, have been covering the story. I'm going to call out something equally, and I'm going to say this, if not more disturbing than Jacinda Ardern's office's funding of the disinformation project and its litany of lies and propaganda. It is a most disturbing trend that when I heard it, I couldn't believe it. And when I shared it with people in the legal profession, they first went, no, that's not really what it, and then they read through this document I'm going to talk about, and they went, whoa, hang on, that can't be, oh my God. And they say, oh my God. So this is a really important and fundamental story about whether or not you get justice from the New Zealand justice system. And I am going to surmise that there will be no one listening to the platform. Indeed, the vast majority of New Zealanders, wherever they get their news from, believe that a justice system, and you see the statues of justice, blind. Justice has a blindfold on, and it weighs the scales, and it treats everyone who comes before it equally. There is no discrimination in a justice system unless you are in New Zealand. And a document published at the very start of this month, so just a few weeks ago, codifies the discrimination in our justice system. Who's it written by? It is written by the Solicitor General, the government's top, lawyer. The person who runs the system that decides who is charged under our justice system and if they are charged and what they are charged with, and oversees the conduct of the prosecution of alleged criminals and malfeasance, people who commit malfeasance in our justice system, criminal and otherwise. A very powerful job. The person who holds that job currently in New Zealand is a woman called Una Jagos. She wasn't appointed by Labour. I think she was appointed by National in 2016. She became the Solicitor General of New Zealand in 2016. She had previous jobs as the temporary director of the Government Communications Security Bureau, which is one of our premier spy agencies. And she'd been in the public service before that. She was born and raised in Cambridge, New Zealand. Her parents were both doctors. Her father was a Parsi doctor from India. Her mother was a nurse from Ireland. So that's who Una Jagos is. And Una Jagos has issued a document about guidelines for people conducting, and Crown prosecutors are often private lawyers. I'm not sure the name of the firm that's got the contract at the moment. And their job is to prepare cases against criminals. When police go, they are the lawyers that will prosecute the case. They are the prosecution in court. She issued, I think the 3rd of this month, 3rd of October, she issued an 800-page document, which you should not read all of because most of it will be irrelevant to you, talking about guidelines for the decisions made to prosecute. And it is a remarkable, and I'm going to say highly disturbing read. I recommend Kiwi Blog actually did a very good piece on this, which I was only became aware of this morning, and I'm wondering if I might use that. But essentially, what Una Jagos is saying, first of all, she wrings her hands and says, "Oh, it's terrible. You look at the statistics, particularly for Maori, Pacifica, and minority groups in New Zealand. They come from real disadvantage." Well, we all have our crosses to bear, don't we, Una Jagos? But then she suggests, and quite specifically in relation to Maori, that before you decide to prosecute someone, you might want to consider their background, particularly if they're Maori, And the clear implication of the words, which I'm going to share with you when I pick them up from where I had them, is that you should give them a break. And that Māori in particular shouldn't have a blind justice system. We should create a justice system that discriminates in their favour, and it basically every Maori is potentially a victim with a bad background. I'm going to read, I think, what is the most relevant piece of this, though it is a very long-winded and carefully constructed way to pervert our justice system. 8.2. Is 8.2 the one I'm after? It is. Okay, well, it goes on. It goes on about people being independent and that what you do is a public service. And I'll give you a feel for it. Public prosecutors perform a public service. They should give effect to the law while also trying to ensure that prosecution decisions reflect the interests of justice in a particular case and serve the good of society. What a good and noble idea. The prosecutor's role is to help ensure a fair trial. So far as possible, not to strive for a conviction. Well, why are we prosecuting someone unless we believe they're guilty and they should be convicted? A successful prosecution is one in which an outcome is achieved after a fair and transparent process before an impartial court. However, our prosecutors act in an adversarial system, and while they should present the case fairly and justly, they should pursue it fearlessly and skillfully. And now she's starting to set up the idea that some people shouldn't be prosecuted. It has never been the case that all offences must be prosecuted. While prosecution will ordinarily be the only appropriate response to criminal offending of at least moderate seriousness, it should be used only where it is a proportionate response to the circumstances of the case. So now we enter this grey area. Yep, do a criminal act. We don't have to really prosecute them all. So this is the setup. And here we go, 8.6. Doing justice to all according to law is key. And law takes account of the specifics of the case at hand. Public prosecutors should understand that the same treatment will not always do justice to all. I want you to ponder those words. And in a justice system, this is the Solicitor General of New Zealand, prosecutors should understand that the same treatment for people accused of crimes will not always do justice to all. Hello, multi-tiered justice system. You can see her loosening, basically, that blind over the eyes of our justice system. Public prosecutors should understand the same treatment will not always give justice to all in the context of unequal backgrounds, opportunities, and circumstances. Ben is hearing this for the first time. Because prosecutors have an influential part to play in the criminal justice system, they should recognise their decision may contribute to the well-documented, disproportionate, adverse system impacts for Māori in particular. And there we have it. In a few paragraphs, Jagus, the Solicitor General of New Zealand, has completely and utterly removed the blindfold of fairness and impartiality from our prosecutorial system and said no, and even said the unspoken woke bit out loud, you've got to give Māori or consider giving Māori people facing criminal charges a break because of history. because of history, because they might have had well-documented disproportionately adverse system impacts. Now, I don't know how Eunice Ogos thought she was going to get away with this. Maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe I'm a terrible post-colonial racist. Or maybe this is the sort of madness that has been going on for 20 years in our institutions and in our judiciary, and has led us to the point where many, many New Zealanders feel disconnected from their country and the systems that run it. But if you ever want an example of wokeism destroying a fundamental principle of our justice system, and yes, Eunice Ogos, I don't have lots of letters after my name. I haven't been to law school. But I know stupidity and unfairness and discrimination and apartheid when I see it. And once again, this is not Māori doing this. This is woke and I imagine well-meaning white folk. What do you think?